And we'll start our countdown. Hello
again.
Again. Well, this we're only 2 minutes late. We started off and I didn't have it pressed on. I didn't have it live. My first time trying to run the show, so bear with me. So tonight it is myself and the amazing Mindy, and we're talking hand stripping tonight. So I'm going to let Mindy take over on that because she has much more experience than I do.
Well, I competed in hand stripping, and I competed with a miniature schnauzer, and it was fun. I could not travel with a schnauzer because they're barky. And that was my favorite thing to tell my schnauzer. Don't be a schnauzer when she'd start barking. But hand stripping, why is it important? I think is a good place to start for us.
I think so too. Like, why is it important for their skin? I think people assume that hand stripping is just about the look, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, the skin, it's important because one of the things that you start with when you're hand stripping is carding. And you're carding the coat, which is getting out all that fine hair that essentially will clog up the pores and keep the skin it keeps the skin from breathing. It keeps the skin, it clogs up the pores, and
can prevent new hair growth.
Yeah, preventing new hair growth, all that stuff. And getting that stuff out plays a big role in the skin. For those of you that do schnauzers that are not carded and have been clippered all their life, you probably see a lot of little bumps on their back, and that is from not hand stripping the dog. And that's why a lot of schnauzers and other terriers are known for skin problems, because their coats are not taken care of properly. Because even when you're not hand stripping and you're clippering, well, hello, Miss Layla, and my dog came down to visit. When you're clippering the dog, you should still card the coat, because that's getting out all that dead stuff, all that dead hair, and making it to where the skin is healthier and it's not clogged and not, promoting that good hair growth.
I think the way I remember hearing it that made sense for me was that these guys were bred to have this really robust coat that won't pull hair out when they go underground. So when they're going under the ground, like things just casual rubbing up against it doesn't pull this coat out. And it's kind of abnormal. And we have created that through selection. It doesn't just come out on its own like a husky would. Like huskies are like, just blow it all over the place. It'll land on your couch. But that the terriers have a tighter follicle that's really resistant to just gliding out on its own. And because of that, needs more work to get it out. Does that sound about right?
Yep. Yep. That's about right.
That's about right. Jennifer also can't be here tonight, but she did send a bunch of her notes. But I think, like I said, I think for anybody who isn't interested or doesn't know much about hand stripping, it's not just about the look. Oh, we have a Facebook user. I don't have a name
Yep,
for you, so if you can tell us your name. But could you please explain the difference between carding and stripping? I know a
yep.
few folks that think it's only for show dogs, not for pets, and please explain for them. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the carding is where you take you take the carding tool and you're actually laying it flat against the skin and you're um taking it across the coat and getting out that fine hair, that little fine hair that's down by the skin. Where stripping, you are actually taking out a layer of dead coat. Okay, so think of it kind of as you're carding the undercoat and you're stripping
The guard
the guard
hairs.
coat, the guard
Yeah.
hairs. Okay, so that's kind of what you're doing. It's performing two different functions,
Mhm.
and it's the and when we hand strip, we do what's called rolling a coat. So you card out, so you once you hand strip one layer out, you still have another coat that should be growing in. So that hair is still healthy and growing, where the outer hairs are dead or blown. It's a blown coat. So you're taking out that hair and letting that healthy hair grow, and then it dies off and you've got what you plucked before is now a healthy coat, and you're going to take out the other dead coat. So
Because
it's
if you're doing it right, it's three different layers of lengths.
right.
And yeah, so that you're stripping off that top layer. This
Correct.
layer then grows up to that length. The one below it is coming up, and that's why they call it rolling a coat.
Yep.
I've also heard of staging coats, but that's more of a show dog thing, isn't it? Where you're preparing for a specific show, where you want that dog to be in optimal shape for an event.
Yeah, cuz like now like my schnauzer, she would completely blow the entire coat. Okay, cuz their
Oh,
coats don't roll very well.
oh,
Schnauzers don't. So prior, like I would say 12 weeks prior to a show, I'd strip her down bald. Everything but the furnishing. She had, I mean, down to the skin. And then by the time she got to show, there was still some to be hand stripped, but there wasn't a whole lot.
oh, wow. Okay. I hadn't even thought much about like the different breeds having different needs. I always thought like the
Yeah.
different breeds was a little bit more about just the styling, but let's see. Oh, the question had come from Kat. Now,
Okay.
Susan is asking, it's the same for Cocker Spaniels too, isn't it? American Cocker Spaniels that are not carded regular and only clipped eventually get bumpy too.
Yes, that
Yep.
is pretty much for any hand strip dog that is not carded. They because you're not getting out those follicles. And the thing is even um as far as carding goes, I will even like card if I clip down a Shih Tzu or anything, I'll card them, and a lot of times it'll just make their coat look a lot healthier if it after you done clippering them and you card it their coat.
I had a couple of Cairn Terriers that had always been shaved with like a 7 before I met them. And just through carding and hand stripping before clipping again, we didn't clip them quite that close, but we were able to bring a lot of that vibrant brindle color back,
Mhm.
and the thickness. And the owner didn't know that that was something she wanted until she had it. And then she's like, oh, this is really pretty.
Mhm.
So Kat is asking another question. She wants to know if we can post a link for stripping knives versus carding tools. Now, are are carding tools,
Too
are
have
stripping
my
knives
tools. I
being
wish
used
I
in a
did.
what was that?
I wish I had my tools. I didn't bring them home with me.
But I'm kind of wondering, like, can stripping knives be used for carding? Is it a different technique with the same tool, or is it really a different tool? Because I've seen carding blades and they look almost like a butter knife.
Yes. Yes.
And it's a
Correct.
different angle and it's a different technique.
Right. Because like the stripper, so you can use a carding tool as a stripper, but you can't use a stripper as a carding tool.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Yep, it does. It does.
So
stripping knives have the grooves and stuff that are important to how much it takes out, right?
Yes. So that's because yes, the carding tool it looks just like you said, kind of like a butter knife. It's kind of thick and
I left my grooming stuff at the shop today.
Yeah.
The one time I don't have it in front of me to like just start pulling tools out.
Yeah. But the carding tools are a lot bigger than what a stripping knife is. Because the stripping knife is just, enough to like get your thumb on, because you have to hold on to the hair as you're pulling it out. So your thumb, you have to use your thumb to pull it out. So therefore, but the carding tool, you're not, because you're just raking it across flat against the skin. So
my eyes are going to wander around because I'm going to see if I can find a link and share it. We'll see what I can find. So keep talking. I'm here.
Yep. So, and that's why, you can use a carding tool as a stripper and it'll work. You can also use a 40 blade as a stripper, as a stripping knife. A lot of people do that. They'll take a 40 blade and use a 40 blade to strip with. I personally, let's see, the carding tools I have are the Jody Murphys.
That's actually the link I just found. So I'm going to post that in here.
Yep, I have the Jody Murphy
for her carding blades. She has 3 of them.
Oh, Dara just posted it.
No, that's me.
Okay.
It just totally spammed and under Dara's name because I'm using her account to run the show. Oh, and now it's saying an error occurred.
Yes, the 40 blade needs to be dulled if you are using it. Anytime you use a stripping knife, typically you need to dull them first prior to using them, because they're going to be too sharp, and if they're too sharp, you're going to be cutting the hair instead of pulling it out. So anything should be dull. And a good way to dull that is your septic powder. Put some septic powder on it. And that's, or, rake it across a stripping stone. We didn't talk about stripping stones yet. Those are
not yet.
Those are like pumice stones that are for stripping. And I have all of these because I have like ancient hands that's getting the arthritis going and everything. So I have to like switch off between different things. I have Whitman's diamond stripper, which is nice. Yeah. It's it's got a nice handle on it and works very well.
I have a set of they look almost like stones, but they're actually they're almost like diamond coated, like they're metal. Oh, Chris Fair Anthony's on too. She says she didn't tell StreamYard anything. Oh, okay. Scott Wasserman has a multi-tool set. Cool.
Yes, he does. And he is also, I know he works a lot with Greyhound, which Greyhound does make a good set of stripping tools too.
He also has a book. I was looking through it tonight, prepping for the show. But The Art of Handstripping. Let me write that. Where did I put that? Where'd my stuff go? I have notes. But he has a book too, and it's a really good book. Yeah, The Art of Handstripping. And it was like $20 to get the Kindle version right off his website. I bought it today.
Fantastic
Take a look.
And I support them fully. And I spent way too much money at their booth this week.
Hold on.
So I get that.
You're listening to somebody else's live stream.
Yeah, I was trying to because Chris does a live stripping too.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get Chris the link and see if she can jump on. But yes, there's also another book out there that is Sam's. Sam has a book out there that came out before, quite a bit before. Okay.
Well, while you're looking that up, how about I read out what some of what Jennifer sent?
Yes.
Because she had some good information here. I will read it out loud. And let's see, how far back does she go? We all know Jennifer. She's on there. So a couple of talking points for her, just that, you know, when she decided that she needed to always strip and card wire coats on their jacket and upper torso. This is stuff she talks about in her workshops, but it's also stuff that she talks about with owners who are interested in why she won't just clip down their dog. She says, first, wire-coated dogs have deeper and more complex hair follicles, and there are hairs within those follicles. This forms the more protective coats when they go to ground after vermin with sharp teeth. So, you know, the coat that doesn't just pull out when we pull it.
Fantastic cause. And I support them fully.
Is Chris in here? I'm going to add her.
Boop.
Hi.
Boop. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, my camera was not showing that before. Hello. Where'd Mindy go?
I don't know. I don't know how that happens.
What? Mindy, come back.
How are you, Mindy?
I'm not super camera ready because I, was having a day off but I happened to be sitting at my desk.
You thought you were going to have a day off.
I thought I was going to have a day off.
So for anyone here who is not familiar with Chris Bear Anthony, she is she does the Traveling Groomers podcast. She teaches at shows. She's hooked on Evolution Shears and works there and is going to talk a little bit about terriers and hand stripping.
Yeah, sure.
Chrissy says hopefully.
I do. Yeah. Hopefully. Because and I have to say,
there she is. Mindy's trying
do
to
it.
get back in.
Yay, Mindy. Yay, Mindy.
All right.
I'm like, I can't find it out. It's horrible.
So actually we have a user question. Crystal Ann Davison is wondering, if you have a dog with bumpy skin from not being hand stripped and carded, can it be reversed if you start stripping and carding?
Yes.
I think that's going to depend on how much damage has been done by stuff getting clogged up in there. But
yep. And
I think we've all seen it improve.
What I've done too, though, is to do that is I've taken a pumice stone and worked it again with the skin. And
because it's exfoliation basically, because basically what's happened is the pores have gotten clogged. So I'm going
cleansing and exfoliating and cleansing
completely off script, but I'm hoping
stimulating the skin with boar bristle brushes and stuff, right?
Right.
Even stuff in the bath you can probably do just to treat the skin as well as carding.
Right. Yep. And
I would say though, it would be a great dog to do it with. Like, I think sometimes people are like, oh, the damage is already done. But I would say like, oh, let's stop doing that damage. You know, like.
Yeah, that's no reason to make it worse. But no, I do pet hand stripping. So I do it because I
Okay.
love it, and I just admitted to myself that I need to get with a breeder or somebody else and spend a day and up my game with it.
Now, one of the um big things about pet stripping, okay, that I see is it's getting those clients on a regular
Mhm.
schedule to do it, because the thing is hand stripping isn't something like, you know, doing a shih tzu that can go, they say, oh well, I can't make it this week, and then you're making an appointment for 2 to 4 weeks out, because otherwise when that pet comes to you, that entire coat is going to be blown and going to want to strip.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Um,
that's the problem with pet stripping. But when
Or
you
or
now
that
what's
one Norwich I do that I do maybe 3 times a year, and it's take the long-haired beast down to jammies.
yeah,
I have one dog that I hand strip from my house call customers. And honestly, I mean, I love hand stripping. I just don't have terrier people in my area who are interested in any of it. So I don't have the terriers. Um, I just don't have those coats. But all she wants is like the twice a year when the dog is blown out because she goes
Yeah.
to Florida half of the year. So like, but I'm gonna talk her into more at least while she's up here.
well, and the problem also too is that just
Oh,
because
did she
it is
freeze? Mindy, you froze.
I
No,
froze.
I
Oh, you
see her.
did. There you go. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gonna say she froze, and I was seeing Chris move, and I saw Mindy stop. Sorry.
Oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
so one thing though is that even though they're a hand strip breed, not every dog is conducive to a hand strip. Okay. I have a Karen.
Not every poodle wants their face shaved.
Exactly. And this Karen goes nuts every time we strip it. And she kept saying, I want to strip. I want to strip. I'm like, okay, you don't understand what you're doing to your dog every time you bring it in to be stripped. This dog hates being stripped.
I had a client that I tried to strip a couple times because it was a wire f it was either a wire fox or a wire fox mix, but a very strippable coat. But to give you an example of how this guy reacted, when I brushed him, he acted like I was killing him and tried to kill me back.
Mm-hmm.
See, but I see those as training issues. Because of course that's where I'm gonna
Well,
circle back to.
yes.
And
I
but
mean,
also sometimes it's a very sensitive skin, or
mhm.
maybe
Right.
something else happening underneath. Or when you think about like the skin problems that we're trying to avoid by hand stripping, sometimes they have skin problems happening underneath, and then we're like carding over that stuff,
Mhm.
and they're sore.
Mhm.
But
But at the same time, we don't need to strip while we're working on the training issues, if that's really how they're going to react to it. I mean, and I still did a little carding and I did some stuff to try to keep the skin good, but, I don't want it to be a miserable experience for the pet.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that I've heard owners worry about is that they think that it must be terribly unpleasant because we're plucking. They hear the word plucking, and they start thinking it's going to be terribly unpleasant. But I've seen dogs just totally zen on
Oh,
this,
yeah.
and they're like, "Yeah, whatever you're doing," and they're fine.
I've had
So it can't be
Airedales fall
particularly
asleep.
unpleasant. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can't be particularly unpleasant. I think it's just more a matter of just pull, pull, pull. We've got a couple of comments in here. Amber says
Stripped
she
down to the jammies
re-edited her thing a
twice.
couple times, but yeah, she did a down to the jammies twice, and they're working on a rolling the coat, and that's good.
Yeah, Amber, I'm curious. How often do you have them coming in now that you're working on rolling that coat? And
I was looking
then-
at Scott's book, and one of his recommendations for pet trim terriers was about every 12 weeks. So I'm kind of thinking like, I'm sure there's a lot of wiggle room in there, but I think like every 12 weeks they're in like
I
whichever
have
next
yeah.
phase
Oh.
of growth.
I have
hers.
two Airedales that
Mm.
I'm working on getting them closer to an every 4 to 6, depending on how my schedule works out, because they really want them stripped. And I've noticed the closer it gets, like if I can keep them on 4 weeks, they look pretty good. They look pretty good. They don't look woolly in between, and it's not as huge a deal. Now, flat work, don't talk. I can't talk about flat
Amber
work.
says that dog is her own girl and she's doing her weekly.
Oh,
Awesome.
good for
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. And our Facebook user, who I believe is probably still Kat, said she had a Cairn that hated brushing and would bite, but absolutely didn't care if she hand stripped for hours.
See that
Wow, that is
and-
bizarre.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful
But I
thing,
think
but
that
that's
I-
like,
Yeah.
What?
th-
who's
They
wrong
have
with the
their
dogs?
preferences. They have their
Yeah.
preferences, you know?
Because the Karen we had, the owners won't even brush her because she bites for the brush. She bites for the hand stripping. It's like.
And
oh,
Yeah.
I know I wrote it in the comments, but I do love my Dyma stripper, the one with no teeth whatsoever.
yes.
That one I have the one with teeth. I almost never use it.
Mm.
I really prefer the one without teeth. It grips fabulously. And unless I really twist my wrist, I'm not worried that I'm going to cut coat.
Yeah.
But
Well,
And
and I think also people think that it's going to hurt your wrist or it's really hard on your arms, and it's probably more hard on your hands than
Yes.
your arms.
yes,
It's
well,
it's the holding with your thumb and pulling
this
motion,
because you're doing
the rest
this.
of your arm is just either at the
Well,
shoulder or at the elbow.
And it is a little bit on the forearms. I find
Yeah.
because that's the thumb doing this, so it's those muscles.
Yeah.
So it's my hands a little bit and the forearms, because I mean two Airedales at a time. They just have acreage. I want a Welsh to practice on.
I love the little Welshies and the Lakelands.
Well,
I can
Lakeland's
totally see myself
But-
owning a Welshie or a Lakeland.
Yeah, you Miss Trainer, own the Lakey, okay?
That's right.
You
like-
go for that.
I
I'll
like
take
spunk.
I'll
I'm
take
okay
a
with spunky,
Welsh
crazy doggies.
or a border terrier. Oh my God.
Ooh, border terriers too. Yeah, I love
terrier.
Airedales too, but
Airedales.
Right.
yeah.
I like
Now-
borders because you just strip everything out.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I
There
mean,
are no patterns.
let's be realistic. I want a Welsh, but I would probably be happier with a border
There are no patterns to follow. Just strip it.
or an Irish, or an Irish Terrier. Actually, I learned to strip on an Irish Terrier.
Oh yeah,
wow.
I did. The place I was working, somebody came in. I won't forget Zugo. And he was young, and they were interested in stripping, and I'd never stripped before, and I'd taken classes, and I went, well, good news is I can't mess up the coat unless I really do something terribly wrong. So I was very upfront with her. I said, I have not done this before, but I'm willing to learn. And she goes, go for it, because I can't find anybody.
Yeah.
I had one of the first customers I had. She had a Norwich, and she brought the coat in blown. So I
Yeah.
pulled that out,
Yeah.
and she's like, "It's supposed to make it wiry, and you did it all wrong." And I'm like, "No, it's going to come in wiry now." I had to pull out the wiry part. So the next time she came in, she brought the instructions to do exactly what I had done before.
Mhm.
Without necessarily ready to admit that what you did was exactly right, but
Nice.
you know, in case you didn't know, this is the way it's done. I'm like,
I'm like,
okay, so you know
yeah.
it's going to look soft. Yep, okay.
Yeah.
But that's, customers don't always understand what we're doing. There's communication stuff there. Over the years, I've gotten better at communicating things to owners. But that was pretty early on in my career.
I
Mm.
would have cracked a tooth gritting, keeping my mouth closed on that. I would have cracked a tooth. The
I
only
didn't take her in that day. So someone else had taken her in and they're like, oh, and they brought these articles in for you. And I'm like, okay, I'll call her.
okay.
Kind of touch on what Chris said is that you mentioned you were like one of the only ones willing to do it, and if you do hand stripping, because we are the only salon in this area that will do hand stripping, and when you open yourself up to that because others are not willing to do that hand strip, you are opening yourself up to a lot of business
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
people want their dogs done properly.
Yeah. I am not taking new clients, but I
You need
got
to
to
stop.
two Brussels that she Brussels Griffons that she wants stripped, and she kind of wants to learn how to do it herself so she can keep it in rolled coat. Mindy, am I going to say no to that?
No.
In my service area?
No.
I mean, you would have to pull a gun on me to get me to say no to that. And
Yeah.
even so, I'd be
Yeah.
like, I could get the gun away from you. I'm sure I could. You're not really going to pull the trigger. I mean, yeah, two Brussels.
Well, like right now, I mean, my house call stuff is really small and I haven't been taking in new customers very much. So I think it's more that word of mouth stuff, but we just don't see a whole lot of terriers.
Yeah.
And, the wire fox terrier I have right now found me because she was searching for someone who would do hand stripping, and I'm like, I'd be happy to, please. I've been wanting to. So
Oh,
I
and
think a lot of it's about marketing.
Yeah.
Chrissy, this is not necessarily related to hand stripping, but it's about that Norwich.
Mm.
I was curious if it had the same problem all the Norwiches I've known have had. Could it hold its liquor? Or was it just all over? It couldn't, yeah.
My lasting memory of that whole thing was just the owner being
just the
so
owner.
mad and then coming back going, oh, and by the way, this is the way you do it right.
Okay,
Should have been
that's
too
In my
fair.
bad.
defense,
Came back.
it was about 95 or 96. So
Oh,
Came
yeah,
back, so she could
it
have
was a
been
while
too
ago.
bad.
The dog,
But-
I remember being really fine. The dog was fine for everything, but
They're
I don't
great little
remember
dogs.
if it was super licky.
They're great little dogs. Great little
I think they're
dogs.
cute. I think
Really
they're really cute.
I would
Mhm.
have one.
So actually, where were we at? Because Jennifer had wrote some stuff. Where did Jennifer's notes go? There we go.
Oh, there's where comments are.
Yeah. Jennifer had more stuff that she put in here. I told her I would read it. Here I go, trying to find it. So we talked about the follicles and stuff, but because the hairs don't shed out of the follicle the way other fur type dogs do, once it stops growing, that's the catagen phase. Anagen is when it's growing. Catagen is when it stops growing. Telogen is when it is going to release. It just sits there. It's too big and too deep to fall out. And this is what terrier people call a blown coat. And if it's clippered at that point, that leaves those root bits of hair still down inside the follicle. And it eventually clogs and kills the follicles. She said that's why 8-year-old schnauzers who've been clippered all their lives have way more skin than hair on their backs because all of the follicles are slowly dying. She also writes that sometimes terriers get comodogenetic bumps and other follicular problems because the roots of the hairs weren't plucked out. She writes, carding and stripping are essential skin care because they'll scratch themselves a bunch trying to get those hairs out, and terriers end up at the vets, and the vets don't really know why the coats are itchy like that, and they'll think allergies and prescribe something without knowing that it's because of this hand stripping process. She also says that groomers tend to think it's too much work, but the motion of the hands is really not too different than running a clipper, which is actually heavier to hold and vibrates, and that carding and stripping tools are light at a different thumb position, and always remind folks that it's just harder on the dogs if we don't. Is the way she
Mhm.
kind of worded it.
So one of our cohorts have joined us, but
Oh.
is a Facebook user, so I'm not sure who.
Hello, Facebook user. Someone who says they can't be on but is watching for a bit. Oh. If
So
it's
the mystery
Jennifer,
is
wondering
on.
how I'm butchering her notes.
By the way, you noticed I nodded when you started to say that word. Like I could totally see the word in my head, but I didn't volunteer to say it for you because I also can't pronounce that. Just I knew I could picture it.
Right?
It's Miss
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah.
Isn't Miss
Right?
Katie on vacation?
Oh, it's
Isn't she
Katie.
She's supposed to be on
Okay.
vacation, I thought.
She's
She gets
apparently
fa-
tuning in here.
Okay.
So Jennifer also writes that Heather Ruzi, a famous Airedale show person and master at stripping education, teaches at least do a 50-50 on a wire coat where you keep the jacket a little longer, no blades, use a 1/2 inch attachment or longer, and then card the coat before clipping, because carding is a stripping knife at a 45-degree angle, combing the coat, pulling out loose dead undercoat, and she says no thumb plucking. She also goes on to say that Furminators are bad because they can cut the coat. They don't really card. They're at the wrong angle. They're at a 90-degree angle.
Any, you know what? A Furminator is just the best place for a Furminator
The
Trash
is in the trash bag.
It's a circular file. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I am a former Furminator user.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris. You are amongst friends.
Oh,
Thank you.
This is a safe space
they-
of other people who fell
I
for some
used it-
marketing early on.
I used it once on a German Shepherd to get get some of the undercoat out. And when I saw a guard coat, I'm like, oh
floop,
no.
Floop, floop, floop.
Yeah.
No.
I
Now,
have recovered.
one thing that is awesome are of course,
the ones we can't get anymore.
the ones we can't get. But okay,
The Andis version of the Coat King.
yes.
Sometimes
I
they're
have bought the
mislabeled as a
Andis.
matting rake. Yeah.
It's a fine de-shedder. Okay. And I will run it through like my hand strips sometimes to like prior to carding.
Oh yeah.
Because it'll get a lot of it out where I don't have to card as much.
Now,
Okay.
I have a question. Would you take one of those and put it in a bag of styptic powder to dull?
No.
Because those can be sharp.
No.
Okay.
Nope. I've never had that take out guard coat.
Okay.
I suppose if you saw it take out some guard coat, then go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Fair.
But yeah.
But
and anytime you're using one of these tools too, pull it through and see what comes out. Is it cutting things? It should grab coat and pull out, like you should have to take the coat off of your blades.
Exactly.
You should be pulling it out.
Exactly.
Not cutting.
Now, I did talk to Andis. And I asked him, I'm like, okay, the question you've heard a million times this weekend already because it was at a show. When are we getting the Andis fine tooth de-shedders back? And he can't even give us a date at this point. But the one thing I do know is that they will not come back the black that we know.
Are they doing the green one again? The green
They're doing the white and green.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having two different lines, they're going to one line of it, and it when it comes back, it will be the green and white they said.
That's fine.
I
don't care if it's purple and sparkly or fluorescent green. Who
just
cares?
bring them back, please.
Just bring them back.
Just bring them back.
I have duct tape that I can make the handle purple and sparkly.
See, there you go. It
it
doesn't matter to me the color.
In January, I lost a groomer, and was very excited to see that he left back the Andis de-shedder.
I really thought you were about to say, I was very excited to see that he left.
Well, that too, but
And left the end to see Shutter.
Shutter.
yes, and left the end to see Shutter. I'm like,
And
okay,
and his evolution
Yeah.
shears, I think.
No.
Oh.
Oh, he took those?
he
Ah,
took
see.
those.
Urgh.
So we didn't really talk much about stripping of the sporting breeds. We've talked a lot about terriers.
Yes.
And actually, so border collie girl, like there's a lot of like kind of hand mucking and plucking that we do on the
Yes.
border collies, on the goldens, some
The
of those
Goldens, those ears.
wispy pieces behind ears.
Oh,
Um,
and
just
down on the shoulders
yeah,
and
yeah.
legs.
Someplace around their knee, kind of underneath their knee, between their knee and their hock, is this like little V that's all this wispy stuff. That stuff gets pulled out. I love mucking them out. You just have to make sure that owners know that, because they're like, oh, his wispies are gone and he's ruined now. So
Because hair doesn't grow.
yeah, but like my border collies, the wispies behind their ears, if I just put his ears up and just like pluck out what I don't want there, like what the silhouette I want, just like you would if you were scissoring. Just think about the silhouette you do want and just start plucking that stuff out. But it gives such a clean, natural look.
Yeah.
It just looks really clean and natural.
I have one bath dog that I've just come to terms is probably a border collie mix. But because of he looks like a border collie lab mix, because he's got like more of a flat coat, but the color anyway, a mutt.
Is he a smoothie? I can call my smoothie into the room.
Yeah. Now
Okay,
I
so
have to look.
pronunciation
Anyway,
on this.
but what was that?
Popo.
Yeah, call him on. But he does have those
yeah.
wispies, and he's got them in those places. So I'm like, no, that's definitely, because I was grooming him 2 days ago, and I'm like, what is all this by his back legs? Like, what is this nonsense? So yeah,
So-
I don't know much about hand stripping the sporting breeds. I only know how stunning they flip and look when you do
now
it.
those wispies that you're talking about, like on the golden retriever and your border collies. Now, for something like that, I would personally not use like a stripping knife or a carding, either your fingers or even like the stripping
pumice stones. Yeah.
very well on that.
The stones, fingers, and sometimes a 40 blade at the right angle to get some of it out at that 45-degree angle, like you would for carding.
So now we're gonna get on the dirty side of stripping. Now when I strip and I'm using fingers, I can't. The hair comes right through my fingers because I just can't grip enough to hang on to it. So I use finger condoms.
Oh, I was just thinking about finger condoms because you were talking about that. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Finger condoms work very well for that kind of stuff too, because the rubber gripping of it.
The rubber thimbles. So if any of you are sewers, those rubber thimbles.
I actually use those rubber thimbles for my thumb when I do even terrier hand stripping, because somehow the knife against my thumb doesn't give the grip I want, and it hurts my thumb. I always put that on my thumb.
The other good thing is using what those money counters use, like those rubber that have little knobs on them that go over your finger. Those work well. Trying to think of some of the and sometimes you can use either chalk or ear powder to help make the hair more grippy. Now the other side of hand stripping too is that there's a great debate, and it is on, do you wash a hand stripped jacket?
I've heard the debates. Yeah.
Yes.
Now
that is debate, because they say one side says No, you don't wash it because you soften the coat and you strip out all the dirt when you pluck the
So
hair out.
you're only stripping off. Oh,
But
I'm
then
gonna. I know I'm gonna stick my semi-educated foot into this. I know I am because I feel like I know just enough here to be dangerous. So if I'm totally wrong, let's start the comment war. But you're only stripping off all of the dirt if you strip off all of the hair. Because there will be dirt on the hair or skin, even though it looks clean. It's not clean. And I've heard the argument that, oh, the follicles are then open, they can get bacterial infections because their follicles are now open, which makes me wonder if you're using shampoo that was diluted 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you're more likely to do that. If you use shampoo that you diluted that second for that dog on a properly sanitized container and clean bottle, are you going to have that problem? And I think we're learning more now with all the wonderful canine esthetician programs coming out. We're learning so much more about skincare and sanitation that I think that was probably the problem with washing stripped jackets more
so, too.
than washing the jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. Or it was also a matter of, just lightly rinsing off chalks. I mean, if you're using chalk or powder and you're just lightly rinsing that off or dusting it off with a boar bristle brush, I could see why you would be really nervous about any sort of skin problems, because that is going to cause a skin problem. Like that. I don't know. I think that one's kind of interesting because I think there's a lot of myths about it. Sort of like the really strict border collie people that are like, you never wash a border collie. I don't know if you ever heard that one. Oh yeah, you'll destroy them. Nope, actually they don't get destroyed by that. They're fine.
Like destroyed, like they'll implode.
Oh yeah, they'll never be the same. I don't know. I've heard this before, and I don't know. Maybe the sheep won't recognize them. Who knows? But, who knows? There are
They don't smell the
crazy
same.
myths in every circle. Yeah, I know.
Wow. Wow.
Who knows?
Chrissy?
But every circle has some of these myths, But I
Mhm.
think that plucking and using like the powders and stuff
Mhm.
probably led to some skin problems. But
Yes.
those were associated with bathing and not necessarily that, like, hey, all this powder that we just added and the dirt that was already there. And
I think we're more educated now than we have been, and we have better access to that education. It is a great
and I wish
time
Michelle
to be a
Knowles were on
groomer.
tonight, because I
Yes.
would ask her what that skin needs for nourishment.
Right.
Yes.
Because it's not just about getting them clean. Like what does that coat type need for nourishment to maintain skin health? Because I'm sure she has some pretty good requirements for terriers that don't include a whole lot of softening. We don't want softening, but we still need
It's not
nourishing.
going to, but it's not going to soften the coat.
No.
I don't care how much conditioner you dump on a wire-coated dog, it's not going to make the coat soft. I
Right.
mean,
Because there's some
okay.
owner out there that wants their dog soft and has never been able to do it.
Oh.
It's like the poodle people who don't want their dog to look like a poodle. Like it is what it is.
One of my
Exactly.
first experiences as a bather in a corporate salon, and I'm talking, some corporate salons, they throw bathers to the wolves and just like go. So I had like nothing in terms of education. And I had just washed a Bichon, and it got the upgraded package with the condition, and it was so soft. And I'm like, this is what I'm looking for. Yes, this is great. And you know what my next dog was to wash? A Westie. And I tried. God help my poor little baby self. I
These two
tried.
little white dogs are not at all alike.
Right? These two little white dogs. Why can't I get why? And I to give my former self some credit, I did eventually go, "Oh, this is a terrier. This is not going to happen." And I mean, no, I conditioned the dog like 3 times. I let it sit. I used sprays. It it's not going to happen.
Well, now, see, now I did the opposite. I like, okay, terriers, I'm going to use the texturizing, shampoo on it that has, a lot of sodium in it, and not it's not going to go soft. But come to find out, you only want to use that like prior to shows, not on
Yeah.
a daily basis.
So we have Jan Moeller in
I
here
was just looking at
saying
that.
terriers with good hard coats need very little bathing. Seriously, just brush once a week. Legs can be washed as needed. And that 60 years in terriers. Awesome.
Which
Well, you
is
know what, though? I think for many, many breeds, brushing once a week
yeah.
really makes a huge difference anyway.
Yeah.
Because
This is a
you're
poodle.
maintaining the coat, you're spreading natural oils across the hair, if they're kept in a proper length, all those other
Now,
things.
I am curious as to what you mean by very little bathing, because opinions vary wildly between owners, among owners on what, and groomers even, as
Very little
what
bathing
is
is.
a lot of bathing. Because
Yeah, answer
sometimes,
that for us,
and
Jan.
especially with show people,
Yeah.
if you're bathing once a week to prep for show, or if you're bathing more regularly for a skin condition or to achieve a desired result, versus they're filthy, they go in the kid's bed, throw them in the bath every 4 to 8 weeks. And I think there's something in between that. So
Yeah.
that could be very little bathing.
Mhm.
So yeah, what specifically do
Yeah.
you mean by
Tell us.
what's a little bathing to you? Because that could vary, and I want to know, because I respect your 60 years in terriers.
Absolutely. Tell us. Well, and I think a lot of dogs with more natural type coats, like my border collies, can run through the mud, be soaking wet. If you let them lie down on something absorbent later on, just brush them through, and they're sparkly black and white again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that coat is so forgiving. It does not get dirty the way other coats do. It's a working dog coat.
It
So
doesn't
I'm
soak
wondering if that's
in.
part of, it doesn't soak in. It doesn't tend to stain. Jan's saying once a week for showing, but once a year. Wow.
Okay.
But you got to brush. Yeah.
But you got to brush. I still.
Okay.
Which
terriers?
and I've heard that.
Does it
I've
depend
heard
on
that
which type of
before.
terriers?
Yeah, I've heard that before. But if it's a family pet that wants to sleep in the bed, that would still make me go, oh.
Yeah.
Because I'm that way about my bed. Like, get your poopy butt
Irish
out of my
terriers.
face.
Okay.
Oh, I love
Okay.
Irish.
Yeah, I think we're used to seeing 4 to 6 weeks is the norm, and I think some dogs can go longer than that. Like I said, I mean, my border collies, like there have been times where I'm like, oh God, how long has it been? But they get brushed every week. They get their nails done. They get their pads trimmed up. In all other respects, they're well kept. Just that every once in a while, I'm like, oh God, it's been a while. And I don't notice it till they have that fresh shampoo smell.
Yeah, and I mean, because I have miniature schnauzers that come in, because our area has a lot of schnauzers. They that's like the terrier of this area. And I have a lot of them that come in every 4 weeks or so. And we don't completely wash them. We do their faces and their legs, all their furnishings, but to wash the jacket every 4 weeks, we don't do that. We'll do it like every other time that they come in, depending on, of course, if they've rolled in, because we're a farm country, if they've rolled in something.
If they took a header into the pile of manure and rolled around, because that's delicious.
Yeah.
A little bit of goose poop behind the ears, from what I understand, is just
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, if they haven't had it, you know, that much fun in that time, then we can, you know, stretch it out a little bit. But typically, you know, as pets, the main thing that I know in this area, the main thing that we're doing with hand stripping is trying to maintain the coat color and the skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Same.
So
The skin, more importantly, I think, for
right,
the pet.
I want to say the skin for us, the coat color for the pet
owners.
parents, the owners, depending. Some
Well,
are
until they
some are
start
split.
getting smelly and bumpy, and then the owners are like, "Oh, that skin stuff seems to be important."
So
Yeah.
before I jump off, because I gotta run because I had dinner on the stove.
Oh, surprise!
Yeah. How do we educate those clients? Because in my area, it seems to be the style to shave a schnauzer with a 10 or 15. And
Mhm.
I've gotten this requested a few times, and just that's what they want. And I mean, to the point where I want to say 10 backwards. Sometimes they're like, no, I want, and I've seen some things, and I have tried to slowly educate them
Mhm.
and be gentle about it. But honestly, it comes down to, I don't know, it comes down to, do you want to keep this client?
Yeah.
I kind
Because
of hope, and I think this comes up in a lot of our little controversial things in dog grooming. I kind of hope that eventually they just hear it so many places that it just becomes the norm. You know, like, oh, your dog isn't really good for this and we need to work on your behavior problem. And I'm having like people come to me and I'm the third or fourth person who's told them that. Or let me ask your vet if they want me to pluck your dog's ears, you know, and if we kind of, if they start hearing it everywhere. But Jan makes a really great point that I think if more owners understood that it makes your terrier much more washed
that
and
is also
dry.
true. That is
And that,
also
if
true.
you can sell that to an owner, like, do you want a coat that's going to be easier to take care of, that you can just kind of mop off
Yeah.
with a paper towel if they roll in
Ex-
something?
Exactly. I mean, because it is. I mean, there
Mm.
when you got a proper coat on a terrier, then a rinse and a towel dry. You know, the a towel dry is basically all they need because it dries really fast. And then you know, rinsing it off, it just kind of comes right. You know, everything comes off.
Yeah. Yeah. And those coats are so easy to brush through,
Mm.
Yeah.
you know? So I mean, I think that's a great selling point, you know?
It's always funny to, you know, have those like border terriers or whatever, and they come in with these big slickers like the corals, saying, "Is this the right brush to use?"
No, sell that to your doodle friend.
Yet
You
the
know?
doodle owners
We
are
can
coming in
exchange because they're
With
coming
more
in with like bristle
brushes.
brushes.
they're coming in with either boar brushes or the bristle brushes with the knobs on the end.
You're right,
Yep.
Dan. The beauty of terrier versus doodle.
Yeah, right.
Always, always.
But
God
yeah, I
loves
think the selling point is going
God
to have
loves a
to be,
terrier.
yeah. I love that movie. But I think that the selling point is going to have to be, this is the look you wanted when you were picking your dog out. It's better for their skin. It's going to be easier to take care of. And depending on who you are, the hard pass on, I don't shave this type of coat.
Mm.
You know, I mean, we also have some really good research about what that does for cell damage and stuff in the skin, that it's not protected anymore. And you know, we can also
Well,
choose to
yeah,
say, you
and
know what, I don't do that, but let me tell
And
you why.
yeah.
do you tell them that they have to buy sunscreen and put that on the dog then?
Ooh, yeah, we probably should be, huh?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well, he's never gotten sunburned before. Okay. Okay. Okay.
You know what? There's always going to be somebody who says, I've never run into that problem.
Yep.
But at the same time, you run into
You
that
never
problem
thought-
once and you remember it,
Yeah.
And I-
you know?
And I cross against the light all the time. And I've not gotten hit by a car yet.
Okay, so for instance, as an example, long ago, hi, my name is Chrissy and I'm here to share a secret. I used to dilute shampoos for the week. I don't know if I caused any problems because frankly, I had dogs with skin problems. Was I the cause of the skin problem or not? Who knows? Maybe I just got really lucky, but I got new information and said, oh, well, I have to forgive myself for what I didn't know and just change up what I do, you know, but I did it for years.
And I think, but you make an excellent point. We start in our grooming careers having X amount of knowledge and X amount of need. And I am never going to poop on a corporate groomer who says, I'm going to shave this pug because my kids need food.
Okay, so how about
And they may not know.
if you approach those clients in the manner, just like Chrissy said, you know what? At one time, that's what I thought was proper for your dog, but I have learned that this is why and what we need to do. You know, then you're saying, "Hey, I used to think that too," and then go from there.
And
yeah. And I think a lot of owners, when we say something like that, they're like, oh, okay, well, tell me more. Instead of like, she just thinks I'm dumb. Oh no, I was there. I did it that way for a long time. I also thought that was a good idea. And then I learned some more. So let me share what I know, you know?
Yeah.
Or let me tell you this story about another dog very similar to yours.
And that's what I do regarding ear plucking. That's what I do regarding ear plucking. And I said, look, when I started grooming, grooming every dog, every ear, every time.
You needed to see your reflection in that dog's ear.
Yes.
The air needed to get in. Pluck till there was nothing else there. Yeah.
Bald. I just
what
thought
kind of a maniac would leave hair in there? That was
of a really bad analogy, but this is the clean live stream. I won't go there.
I know you haven't sworn or anything. There's no swearing. It's crazy. You biting your tongue over there?
A little bit. I'm like, this is the pet pro educators. This isn't the traveling groomers. I'm being all professional and stuff. That one hurt. But guys, I love joining you. I do want to try to start joining you more. Dara
fabulous to see you.
Mention it to me, and I want to start. But I came up here to edit a podcast, and I didn't get that done. And it's my anniversary, and I'm going to go do other things.
Happy anniversary! Good to see you. Go finish your dinner.
I'll go finish my dinner, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week some points. I'll see you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
And we are just about at that hour point.
Yes, we are a little over that hour point.
Yeah, a little bit. We covered a lot of stuff. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Yep.
I love the terriers. I love them. And I think that hand stripping, so I was brushing out a Samoyed this morning. Is hand stripping really that much more difficult than some of our large brush outs?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I think it's similar, you know,
it's
a similar kind of workload. It's meticulous.
Yes. In time frame, I think they're very similar, but in, I think, the brush outs are a little easier compared to that, because your hands do get tired. In fact, I limit all my hand strip to 1 hour sessions.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because after 1 hour, my hands hurt. The dog's getting tired. So, and a lot of them, I don't I don't see them enough to train them to, oh, you can just lay down and relax while I do this, you know? So I
Sure.
limit all my hand strips to 1 hour, and I'll do them in consecutive days.
Okay. I was just about to ask you that too. If you have like a certain amount of hand stripping that you book yourself out in a week, like, is there a limit to how much hand stripping you'll do just
Me,
to
yes.
keep your hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm getting that arthritic hands that, yeah, they'll only go for so long and then they're just done. And now my daughter does hand stripping too. So she's actually taken quite a few of my hand strips that are, like, okay. And then the ones that are, no, I want you doing it. I do those. And even a lot of them that were like, no, I want you to do it. They're seeing her work and they're okay with it. But some great resources. There is a hand strip face group
Yeah. There are a
that,
couple of them.
yep,
There's, what is it? Hand
Scott,
stripping education, I think, with
yep,
Scott
that's Scott
Wasserman.
Wasserman's.
I've got a lot of good information going there.
Yep. So that if you're interested in learning how to hand strip or you want to learn more, that's a good place to go. Heather is also in that group and will she is an administrator in that group too, and she's a very good person to learn from too. In fact, that's where I took one of her classes. That was first class I ever
What's her
took.
last name? Heather.
Ruzi.
Oh, okay.
So it's RO. I'm not sure how you spell it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to quiz you.
She's in that one.
Just okay.
But I know she does. I don't know how much classes she's running anymore, but she did a lot of classes before.
Oh,
And
good.
but I did a lot of lessons through Scott for my schnauzer. And the hardest part I always had was the chalking. Oh, the
Yeah.
chalking. The chalking the legs and stuff. But you're not doing that in the salon because that's something you show and then you wash it out immediately because you have so much cholesterol and chalk in there.
Right.
But,
Right. And I mentioned earlier that Scott has a book. I think that came out 2 or 3 years ago. It's pretty current.
yeah.
Maybe even not even that long. But like I said, I just bought the Kindle version tonight. I was like, oh, I forgot I can buy that in Kindle.
I
So
didn't know he had it in Kindle. I didn't even because I got it
well, it's
before it was
PDF
even
form.
on
So
Amazon.
yeah, it's on PDF, so I can put it on electronic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, instant gratification, just buy it now if you want to read it.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing I found out the other day was AKC's dog breed book is on Kindle version now.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yep.
nice.
Both versions.
Nice.
Most current versions. So
Awesome.
it was nice to be able to download that onto my Kindle and as I'm flying everywhere, do work on stuff.
I love being able to have tons of books in this thing. Just
Yeah.
hundreds of books in a little thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good books in their industry that are available as ebooks.
Yeah. Yep.
But we
So
should probably wrap this up.
Yep. Let's wrap
I
it up.
don't know what next week's topic is, but this whole month is about like styling and different coat types and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens next week. Thank you, Mindy, for not making me be here alone.
Oh, I wouldn't let you.
That was fun. And thank you. And let me see if we can get our exit. There we
Yeah.
go. All right.
Mm.